Welcome to City on a Hill Gaming, a tabletop RPG actual play podcast. To find out more, download episodes wherever you get podcasts, or visit us online at cityonahillgaming.com, or by sending us an email at cityonahillgaming@gmail.com. You can also support us on patreon.com/cityonahillgaming. We hope you enjoy our show. Welcome back to City on a Hill Gaming. I am your narrator, Ryan, and it is time for Throne of Leaves, our Kingmaker, or Pathfinder 2E Kingmaker campaign. And last time the party fought a real angry lady and refused to say her name correctly for like 2 full sessions, and she was real mad about it, which was an effective tool in combating her. So good on them. So we are joined by 3 of our players this evening. So it's been a hot minute. So if you will say your name and then tell me about your character, and we will go from there. Ben.
I am Grizzly. I am a charred-eyed goblin, bard, all-around silly buffoon, and stabber of the knives.
Yes, he is. Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm playing Kerpley, the tree frog druid, which has been renamed recently, but I have always called her the tree frog druid because I love her, and she's basically just Storm from X-Men, except as a frog.
Forgot about that part. That's right.
Yes, that's what I'd say. I have this tendency to build characters inspired by other characters that already exist.
Love it.
The thing that has come up in the past 8 months has been Saphira, who is inspired by Aloy of Horizon Zero Dawn. Anyway,
very nice.
Kerpley, I love her. She's like 2 feet tall, and she's adorable, and I love her so much.
And she will lick her eye at you aggressively.
Yes,
and I hate it.
Yes,
but it works. Great. It is an effective technique.
Great. It's not even something frogs do.
No.
But she does it anyway.
But it is unsettling, and very effective. Cameron.
Yes.
What's up? I'm playing Ezek, the Colo Magus, previously the Knoll, and also similar to Kerpley, has had an ancestry change. And so my character is inspired by Eivor from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And so,
who also has a Magic the Gathering card.
This is true. Working on that deck.
Love it. Love to see it. Yeah, will you briefly explain just the kind of the general version of the changes they made?
Mm-hmm. So, Pathfinder 2E, 2nd edition, recently written through a remaster as part of the OGL debacle. And so because of that, they changed a lot of their verbiage. The vast majority of these changes are just name changes to get away from the names of things that are used in Dungeons and Dragons. So for example, Magic Missile has become Force Barrage. Doesn't really change the ability, it's just a name change. And so there are some changes that actually happened, some balancing and adjustments like that. But broadly speaking, it's going to just be the same type of game for us, just with some different terms. So continue to bear with us as we continue to navigate that, as well as Pathfinder.
In general, yes. So like he said, his Knoll is now a Colo, and Emma's Ripley is now a Trip Key.
Yes, that sounds
Trip
right.
Key.
A Trip Key.
Or like she said, Frog. Which is also totally fine. So that is, and I don't want to say anything else changed significantly. Like I saw, like, Elf is still Elf for Kim. Leshy is still Leshy for Greg. Lizard Folk is still Lizard Folk for David. I don't know about dragons.
Well, that was like a third-party thing anyway. That one wasn't.
Oh, okay, that's true. Yeah.
Right. Because that one's not, that's like a...
Because they're not even really dragonborn, they're like actually dragons. There's a whole kind of a thing. Yeah, like he said, technically like third-party content there. So, you guys had been assisting in the clearing of Lady Jamondi's, not palace, estate. Her real big house. Her real big multi-floor house that may as well be roughly the size of an office building. for all intents and purposes. You guys had been helping clear that because there had been a bandit raid, and also a bunch of it had been set on fire. And at the end of the last session, you guys had been fighting Mira, who is one of the Black Tier commanders, and some of her Black Tier minions. And you had defeated her. And I think Cameron has a new great axe that only worries me significantly.
It's mostly just a new rune for my great axe.
That's true.
But
yes,
as far as
yes, but it still worries me significantly.
Yes.
And you guys, I think, had been sent back to your rooms to actually, finish sleeping, because I'm pretty sure that fight started at like 3 a.m. And when you got back up, a bunch of contractors from around the city had come, and people were like already repairing the house and rebuilding the fire damaged areas, which seemed unusual for that to happen quite so quickly, especially for someone in Lady Jamandi whose house, and when I say house, I mean like family name, like House of Dragons house kind of thing, not physical house, is maybe not the most popular in this area right now. Her house is one of the houses of sword lords that has maybe fallen out of favor recently. So for her to get this much help this quickly is surprising to you. So you guys basically sleep late, or sleep until roughly when I do as a normal Ryan usually, because my schedule's weird. And then you guys have breakfast, and they, you just see people kind of walking around cleaning up. And you guys are come to by a guard, one of Ben's, one of the guards who's a big fan of Grizzly Snacks and his work, and has followed him around on tour as a groupie. Comes and says, Lady Jamandi it's Grizzly Snacks. Lady Jamandi, at your next possible convenience, would like to see all of you. I love you, Grizzly Snacks. Yeah. And so he just kind of like shuffles off in embarrassment, considers asking you to sign something, but decides not to, and leaves.
I just do the rock star rollover and wave.
Like Johnny Depp style. Like there's no form to your arm when it moves. It just happens.
Just real flexible wrist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. He squeals like a small child. Or me when I see Pokemon plushies, whichever, potato. So yeah, you guys just, have kind of been called to Lady Jamandi's chambers at your convenience, as, you did help save her house last night. She's not going to rush you. So I'm assuming you guys have rested. You should have all of your spells and abilities and stuff back, and all of your hit points. Were you missing any? And I think you guys had already gotten all the loot from Mira. And the bandits before the night finished. So yeah, just as you guys are able to make your way up back to the not so much the dueling chamber area, probably a little more like where you had the meal the night before, sort of in the grand hall, would be where she would want you to come see her at. Unless there's anything else y'all want to do before then.
Assuming we're like all in one big room, like Ezek is super slow to get up. We were so worn out, like Ezek slept in his armor and is like definitely not in good shape.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And so like he gets up and like kind of realizes that he didn't get out of his armor, and it is now like kind of wonky and like sitting weird. And so I'm going to take the unreasonable amount of time that we looked up previously and basically just like resituate my whole armor and my whole getup.
He's not wrong. It was an unreasonable amount of time.
Yeah. Also, as a hyena folk, I'm assuming that his hair is everywhere.
Sure.
And like in terms of like he has a weird like mohawk type thing because of how he slept or whatever, and we're gonna just let that ride.
Bed fur.
And so yeah, bed fur, exactly.
Bed fur.
Yeah, no, makes sense.
Once we get everything situated, he'll grab his great axe and like start to get up the little ones.
I forgot you're kind of the dad of the group now, aren't you?
Yeah.
In this scenario,
Yeah.
yes.
He is.
I imagine Ezek in his like early 20s, and he is not ready for kids. But here we are.
It's like that situation where it's like your mom runs the nursery at church, but has to step out, so she leaves you in charge of a bunch of toddlers, and it'll be fine. We promise.
If she comes home to the house barely not
Standing.
on fire.
Accurate. So you guys make your way up to the Grand Manor Hall, and the tables are all laid out again, and lunch is laid out on the tables, and you see most of the people who were there the night before when you ate are in the room again. A few of them did maybe not survive the raid from the bandits, but most of them are here, and kind of, interestingly enough, everybody was kind of spread out last night, because folks didn't necessarily come. Some folks came in groups, some didn't. But groups appear to have formed. A la the cafeteria in high school, the cliques are, in fact, all sitting together. And so you guys are kind of hanging out, and you're around the big giant table, and they bring you guys food and coffee for people who drink coffee, and orange juice and apple juice, and insert fruit I haven't made up a name for yet. Juice is, fantasy game, that kind of thing. And eventually Lady Jamandi comes into the room. Oh, good. Everyone, she just kind of looks over and quick head count, looks at one of her guards or whatever, and is like, okay, good. An eventful evening, I suppose. It was very unfortunate. I want to thank you all for your help last night in dealing with the bandits and the fires and those of you who assisted us. It is very appreciated. Clearly someone is perhaps not a big fan of what it is we are here to do as we look to settle the stolen lands, and your groups go forth. However, I am not particularly easily dissuaded, and I still intend on giving you your charters and sending you forth to start your expeditions. So, let's see. We will go group by group, and she looks down a list, and she gets out this a guy walks in, two guys, they're carrying each end of this 6 foot long wooden chest, but it's super long and super thin. And they set it down on the table and open it up, and it looks like it's full of really well wrapped scrolls, and each scroll is in its own have you ever seen a map case, a map tube, or I guess for Cameron and I's purposes, a playmat tube, essentially.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That kind of thing. So basically, she sets a group of those are set on the table. And each of them has looks like it has some kind of medallion hanging off of it that looks like it has her house crest on the medallion, and it's hanging off of each of the different cases. And she calls up the first group, and she says, let's see, who is... Yes, the Iron Wraiths. Come, receive your charter. And a group of really well-armored looking adventurers start to make their way up. I have heard tale of your lot and what it is you have done before. It's most impressive. We will send you to the uplands, and we will see how you fare there. Your charter is to establish a base there after dealing with the Tiger Lords, and then perhaps opening some diplomatic relations, say, with Pitax. Everybody make me perception and... I want to say, I guess, intuition? Make me both.
What is intuition?
I was going to say, I don't think that's actually what it's called in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking 5e in my head. Let me look.
Perception is 7.
Okay.
15.
20.
Okay, so we have a 7, a 15, and 20 for perception. And then I guess for the other one, make me... okay, you know what? Society.
Okay. Oof.
Make me society checks. Let's do that.
8.
That is
23.
a natural 20 for a 21.
Okay.
All you big folk.
Throwing strong dice numbers. Okay. So what we're gonna do? Anyone who got at least a 15 perception, the attitude in the room changes when she says the word pitax, and it is increasingly a negative tone in the room when she says that name. Cameron, what was your perception?
Dirty 20.
Okay. You do notice it is not an entirely negative response. Though anyone you had at least 2 20s on the society, and Emma's was a natural 20.
Yes.
Pitax is... I'm trying to think of a good comparison to Pitax. Think like... And someone who knows this system, or knows Kingmaker better than I do, may disagree with me. I would say think Sparta, but if Sparta was like... Not Sparta from 300, but like actually really cruel, really violent, and just really genuinely disliked plain wide. Very militant, very aggressive, doesn't play well with anyone. And the idea of forming some kind of alliance with Pitax is, it doesn't matter to some folks how beneficial that would be. It is frowned upon because it's Pitax. And that's all that matters in that sentence, is that you said Pitax, and that's a no for me. It's a very negative response, largely, when she says that. So she hands them the big tube, and they basically just kind of like, when they go up to get the tube, you notice they take all their gear with them. They take the tube from her. The guy who seems to be in charge pops it open, slides it out, looks at it for a second, shoves it back in the tube, hands it back to somebody, and they basically just walk out. No, they don't even say anything to her. They just take the charter and leave. You do notice they, one of them, as he walks past, kind of pats Grizzernax on the head. Don't forget to bring your stuffed animal with you, kid. It's gonna get a little scary out there. And then they just
Bite him in the shin.
You what?
Say bite him in the shin.
Bite him in the shin. It's the one unguarded part of him.
I'm going to do the thing frogs do, where they blink one eye and then the other.
Oh, I hate it.
And then lick one of my eyeballs.
I can't tell if I don't like frogs or if I don't like Emma's portrayal of being a frog. I don't know which it is.
Yes!
As he's patting my head, I mumble a little bit and wave my hand a little bit and cast Chill Touch on him.
Your head?
Yeah, through my head. It's a touch spell. He's touching me.
Okay.
I cast Chill Touch. Boop.
All right. Did that pop out? It did. Okay, let's see. Negative energy into yourself radiates a pale darkness. Good. Okay. So he has to make a saving throw. Good night. That's a high DC.
Yeah, it is.
That seems unfortunate. All right, hold on. Nat 1. Perfect. So
like critical?
So you, and that is a big enough difference for that to be a critical, yes. Because it's what? It's 10 between numbers is a crit. Yeah. Yep. Okay, yeah, that's a 3 from him, and your DC is a 17.
Do a will save also.
Oh no.
Oh wait, that's undead.
Okay.
Basically, where's the critical on this one?
Enfeebled for 1 round.
Yeah, enfeebled for 1 round. Yeah.
So
So he feels,
they're flavorfully and like physically weakened.
yeah, he feels a drain flow out of him in my direction as I just kind of look up. Haven't taken my hands off the table, still doing my old breakfast thing. Just kind of look up and give him a glare.
Chewing your eggs, glare.
Show him a little bit of teeth.
14 damage. Good. Okay. Yeah. He recoils like 3 or 4 feet back, like bumps into and knocks over 2 of his companions. Like they knock over another table's juice. Like it turns into a whole thing. And you haven't moved, so no one's really sure what happened.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's look at nope. Okay. Chilly in here. He is like, he looks physically weakened as he like drags himself out of the room. She up from the I almost said pulpit. Up from the front of the room, she just kind of looks you in the eye, Ben. Lady Jamani just looks you in the eye and just kind of looks at you like with a little bit of a really.
Just the faintest wink back.
What an eventful morning it's been already. Excellent.
I just keep eating my breakfast.
She looks a little confused by that whole process, but, whatever. She picks up the next charter, looks out over the room. Baron Trelev. Interesting. Yes, come up. Your charter, very important one, actually. We hope to secure the southern trade routes along the East Selin River and establish a base for merchant caravans in that area. And a kind of like older, dour-looking nobleman makes his way up there and just very slightly bows, takes the charter, and you notice it's less that he's part of a group. Like the Iron Wraiths look like a group of adventurers. This looks like a guy with people who work for him. It's like it's like a different attitude. And he walks out and he looks at you. Ezek, he sneers at you a little bit. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't touch anyone because he learned from the last guy. Touch, bend, take damage. Apparently is how the process works. And makes his way out.
Yeah, Ezek does not care.
No, I kind of didn't figure.
Like, cool, dude. Like,
have a nice day. And then she picks up the next charter. Mr. Varn, I've known your father for a long time. Come, you will be assigned to the Noman Heights. We hope to establish a town in the area of the Varnleen host. In time, maybe even a dueling school of some kind would be appropriate for the region. We hope you may have discussions with the Noman creatures and maybe establish some kind of alliance with the mighty centaur of that area. Maegor Varn walks up and he stops, and he actually stops by you guys and he looks around at the group. And Cameron, he looks at you. He says, perhaps once we are established, we may have some kind of discussion about trade, if you're interested.
Aye. That seems like a great idea.
Very good. Be careful. Best of luck. He goes, he turns, he does the like classic swords nobleman like cape swish as he turns to leave. Like flowy, billowy, like you would think they're like 3 air conditioning fans pointed at him from somewhere. You notice, everybody make me a perception.
24. Dirty.
Grizzly sees everything.
He sees
the code in the Matrix. Like
24.
Okay, double 24s.
Ooh,
you guys both notice that from the other side of the room, there is clearly a mage, clearly wearing Maegor Varn's colors, who is clearly casting Gust in his general direction to make the cape billow. This is clearly intentional. It's like a pro wrestling entrance. Minus the pyro. For now. You'll also notice there's a guy that Ezek had talked to the first day. His name is Artuccio, and he looks very displeased right now. He does not appreciate the attention everyone else is getting. He doesn't seem to enjoy how things are going. He just looks... You two both notice that he seems very frustrated right now about everything that is going on. She calls up 2 or 3 other smaller groups, sends them off into little areas, including Tartuccio. And then she calls out and she says, and last, let's see. Well, of course. Our heroes from last night. Again, thank you. And she looks directly at each of you one at a time. Your assistance was...
As Zick raises his glass.
Greatly appreciated. She gives you a slight bow. For your charter, we will ask you to travel to the southwest into the region known as the Green Belt, a swath of wildland that includes the forest known as the Gnarl Marches and the hill country of the Camelins. And we have heard that there is a bandit problem that has grown. Not so much like the Black Tears who came through last night, more of a steal from you on the side of the road bandit kind of thing. It has become a real issue in that area, and they've become oddly aggressive. So our hope is that you will look into that. There's a small trading post near the top of the land we are hoping you will explore. I know they have had some significant issues with the bandits. I'd appreciate if you would check in with them when you arrive in the area. And then once you have the bandit issue handled, we will be ready to bequeath you a more permanent charter to settle and establish a government of your own. And so she hands you this big thing. Like I said, it's like a wooden tube with like leather caps on either end. It's got the pendant on the end that's got her kind of house symbol on it, and it's inlaid with like a lot of stonework. Like there's nothing like expensive, but these are all like individually crafted. And if you open it, there is a rolled up charter, and stamped on the top of the charter is also the symbol. The symbol is kind of a rectangle that's divided into 4 smaller rectangles. 2 of them are white, 2 of them are yellow, and then laid over top of them is a dragon with 2 heads, and one head is holding a sword in its mouth, and the other head is breathing fire. And it says, "Be it known that the bearer of this charter has been charged by the sword lords of Restov, acting upon the greater good and authority vested within them by the office of the Lord Mayor of Restov, the right of exploration and travel within the wilderness region known as Restov's hinterlands and the Greenbelt. Exploration should be limited to an area west and south of Oleg's trading post, no further than the banks of the Shrike and Skunk rivers. The carrier of the charter should strive against banditry and other unlawful behavior as it is encountered and dealt with at your discretion, though we are happy to assist with measures for relocating and capturing bandits. So witnessed on this 24th day of Calastro under the watchful eyes of the Lordship of Restov." And it's got like a wax stamp and stuff on it. And she hands it to you. She nods. She hands Purpley a pouch that is heavy. It feels like it has gold in it. And she said, "If you will, stay for another day. I would like you to meet some of my associates that I would like to accompany you specifically on your journey, if you're willing. We'll keep you here for another night, of course, feed you and the like." She looks at Ezek in particular. If you would perhaps like to test yourself in the dueling chamber later, I might have some time. And
big grin from Ezek. He's ready.
She nods and says, "Then we will see you this afternoon." And she heads off with several of her people, and one of her guards comes over to her. He has kind of a worried look on his face. Not to go back to the same well 17 times, but make me a perception check. Those, I think, are my 5 most used words in the history of Sitting on a Hill. I'll probably make me a perception check. It's
21 for Ezek.
It is a personal favorite of mine.
For Grizzly.
23.
Good
We
gracious.
see literally everything.
Good
Nothing gets by
gracious.
us.
Nothing gets by you. This guard looks very worried, and you hear him say something about. He mutters something about Pitax, something about the Black Tears, something about someone called the Stag Lord. And just, he seems far more worried than she does. But she seems more worried than you think probably she intends on letting on. Something has her very bothered. Something has Lady Jamandi concerned. And
Something wrong.
Yes.
Kirpley just go, something wrong.
Something wrong. She actually hears you. She turns and looks at you and she just smiles, but it is not the same confident smile you have been seeing for the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So you guys have basically the rest of the afternoon to kind of explore the rest of her manor and make any preparations you need to make before you head out, that kind of thing. And then it's around noon now. She'll expect you to 1v1 her in the dueling chamber at around 4. So what is it? Is there anything specific you guys want to do?
So we can hand wave this like time wise if we want to. We have from our adventures, we have 3 potency rooms on our various loot. Potency rooms, for people that don't know, there's 2 main types of runes in Pathfinder 2E: potency runes and striking runes. There's a whole bunch of other runes as well, but those are like the 2 main categories. And so potency runes, if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, they make your weapon hit more often. And so make it a +1 weapon. Whereas a striking rune increases the amount of damage that your weapon deals to the point that I believe you roll extra dice. So like a striking +1 is an extra of whatever die you roll. So we don't have those yet.
Right.
We just have the potency runes.
No, don't give them those. Got it. Good.
Yeah. And so I think what we should try to do here, especially while we're on Lady Jamandi's good side, is that we should go and move these runes around to whatever weapons that we need.
Works for me.
So, because right now they're on a mace and a longsword, and technically there's one on bad person's great axe that we're going to move on to my great axe just for flavor. Ezek wants to keep his family's one.
Right.
And so I think that that's something that we would want to at least get started in this time. Again, I'm trying to like look up actually how long it would take, but you can move runes between weapons.
And assume she probably has someone in-house who can help you with that.
Studded leather armor, this is just a mechanics question because I'm too familiar with 5e for this. Is studded leather armor still something that a bard would be instead of just regular leather armor?
I think
it's still considered light armor, right?
Studded
as far
leather,
as like
yes, is
restrictions and things that would cause me from. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit and yet don't suffer penalties, and I don't remember how.
It doesn't have a speed penalty, but it does
does.
have a check penalty.
Whereas regular leather doesn't.
Correct.
That was what. Okay, I thought that's what we covered last time, and I was just trying to remember why I didn't grab a hold of those right away.
It is light, and it would still work, but it does have that -1 check penalty, even if it doesn't have a speed penalty.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not too worried. Then one of the things I would want to do then is if I could get one of those potency runes to put on my hand crossbow, because I want to stay distant. But I don't know. Are we all distant?
Right.
Because Ezek is a toe to toe.
Yeah, Ezek is melee.
Kirpley, are you you're?
I'm a distance and
Your
spell.
distance. Do we need this? Would you rather me be distance or would you rather me be up close?
If you want to stay distant, if you both want to stay distant, I have accounted for that already.
Okay.
Great.
I just don't want. I always hate being the one who leaves the single melee person up front, going, "Ha, sorry."
Have fun. heal.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Cameron, I think the answer is 1 day.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well.
Whereas, so crafting, it looks as multiple days, but transferring looks like it's only one day. And she has a guy who will do that for you. If you leave your preferred weaponry with him, he will transfer the runes as needed. So for Cameron, it's the Great Axe. Ben, you said it's the hand crossbow?
Hand crossbow.
And Emma, what would that be for you?
It would be a long spear.
Okay. Pokey pokey. Okay, so yeah, he'll set about taking care of that for you. Cameron, for all intents and purposes, assume you can still use yours during the duel. Don't worry about that. But yeah, so you guys leave those with him, and then you were called by one of the guards to the Aldori dueling chamber, where she is in there with her dueling sword, and she just kind of looks at you. She didn't even say anything. She just looks at you and nods, and she steps into the middle of the circle.
Ezek will do the same. Like he'll two hands like on his great axe. He's ready to go.
Big unnecessary ceremonial bow, and then make me roll that initiative. Thanks for listening to City on the Hill Gaming. If you'd like to know more, find us online at cityonthehillgaming.com or by sending us an email at cityonthehillgaming@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at cityonthehillgame or find us online at patreon.com/cityonthehillgaming. Thanks as always to our Patreon backers, Grizzly Rich, Bryan, Sir Lord Epicname, Andrew, Christina, and Tony. We really thank you guys for everything you do to support the show, and we truly appreciate you. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day. I run this and don't know what to read for sound check. Oh well. All right, sound check. Cameron.
When Charles Xavier founded Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, he knew that he would one day gather a team of mutants that would represent the best that mutants had to offer humanity, and he planned to call them the X-Men. While Xavier was attending Oxford University, he met a young geneticist named Moira Kinrose, later Moira Kinrose McTaggart, who revealed that she was also a mutant, one with the ability to restart a timeline upon her death. She had already been through 9 lives when she approached him with the idea of founding the school for which the X-Men would spring, and she allowed him to read her mind as proof of her powers and experiences.
I've never heard of her.
That is from the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, X-Men Expansion.
Spoilers.
It goes into all of the X books, all the X teams.
Oh, okay, nice.
That specific plot line is House of X and Powers of X, which 10 out of 10, highly recommend everyone should read.
Fascinating. Okay. Emma.
In this card written to be by my mother, She writes, "Greetings on a Sunday morning. And how are you this fine day? I love and miss you always. I am also amazed by you, that C word which oozes from you. Although as I write, sew, knit, and work in the garden and on the house, I do recognize a lot of creativity in my own life. Your making a way in LA is astonishing. God plunked you down with dog. I am nixing name for dog for reasons.
Oh, yes.
Near cantrip candles, making sourdough your garden, surmounting 2 fighting car totals, connecting with old friends often, and making new. Above all, tackling the world of adulting, sometimes with tears, but with success." The end.
Sometimes with tears is a big part of that, and I respect that.
Yeah, lots of tears.
Yep, absolutely. That's just life.
In other words, it is a card from my mother telling me that she is proud of me.
That's lovely, actually.
Love always, me. P.S. I'm starting a jacket for myself because she knits.
Oh, very nice. And
Richmond simmers on the edge of damnation. Vampires stalk the streets, leaving a trail of death and chaos. Jonathan has lost nearly everything and finds himself in a vampire hostile environment. He doesn't have time for the other immortals to adjust to him. They have to learn to work together. The stakes are life and death. Miriam is pregnant, adrift in grief, and in the middle of a war. She doesn't trust the vampires or Therians to keep her safe. She may be just a human, but she's taking matters into her own hands. And no one seems to know what's going on with Adrian or Claire. Is she really human? Are the changes in him permanent? And will the city make it to another sunrise? In this heart-pounding sequel to The Survivors, loyalties crumble, alliances shift, and the line between human and monster blur. The fate of Richmond, and perhaps humanity itself, hangs in the balance.
Like Richmond, Virginia?
Yeah. I believe that's the Richmond.
Daniel, no. That's where Daniel is. Was that Jenna's?
That was the back of the J.E. Craft Dark Hours book that has recently come out.
Jenna.
Book 2 of, as the faithful listeners know, Temesis in campaign 1.
What was the name?
Available at jecraft.com.
What was her character's name in campaign 1?
Temesis.
Was that it?
She was the Tabaxi?
Yeah. I thought that's not the name I had in my head. Okay.
I thought that's what it was.
Huh.
Maybe that might have been in one of the games we played together. I don't know. It's the one that always sticks with me for her.
I wondered when you were reading this if this was going to be one of her books.
Yeah. It's the sequel. It just came out.
Very nice. Very nice. And then I will...
I'm all about the pushing of friends' books.
Oh, especially when it's Emma. Or not Emma, Jenna. Or if Emma writes a book, that is also fine. We will also talk about Emma's book.
Like 40 years to work on everything else.
No worries.
And then I'll write a book. But I would like 40 years to work on the visual arts first. Please and thank you.
Totally reasonable. And now I'm going to introduce you to something that we introduced to you at the beginning of this audio recording, which is before what you're going to hear it, but we haven't said it yet. But you'll hear it before we say this part because editing, I guess. So Pathfinder changed some of the heritages and ancestries. We won't worry about the reasons. So I found one that I find intriguing is called the Kashrishi, and they appear to be rhinoceroses, but with 4 arms and 2 legs, and also upright, and also their horns are made of crystal.
So they have 8 limbs?
6.
Sorry.
4 arms, 2 legs.
That's what I meant. I meant 6. I just did my math incorrectly.
He's fine. 4 arms, 2 legs.
I was visualizing 6, but my math ended up with 8.
But 2 of the arms are real tiny.
Yeah.
And
are they like T-Rex tiny? Or are they a little bit
like if you're holding a toddler. So you have 2 adult arms and then like 2 toddler arms.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Like 2 pudgy toddler arms and then 2 adult arms. Very interesting looking, but I'm kind of intrigued by it. Okay, and Cameron, if you will do a brief, if you'll do a brief explanation of that concept for me, like the change.
So after
once we do the intro.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Once we're because it may as well be part of the main episode. Okay, here we go.